Hey everybody, Brian here with Drones Unlimited. So if you're just checking in, a previous video I made was for you. So if you had any questions for me, and if you still have any questions, just leave them in the comments of these discussion videos, and then I'm going to try to answer them the best I can with my silly little brain. So let's start off with Downtown Dave. Thank you, Dave, for leaving a comment. He said, the remote pilot in command and the person manipulating the controls can be two different people. Does the person manipulating the controls have to be 107 certified? And he's talking about a paying gig. Here's the deal with that. I'm going to start off with, I'm not an industry expert. I like to think I'm an expert, but not like a leading industry expert. I'm not a lawyer either, so don't sue me if you get in trouble for any of my advice. But I do believe what you're asking is correct. So an unlicensed person can hold the controls as long as the 107 pilot that's hiring you is standing right next to you, so he has the ability to grab the controller out of your hands and take over if he needs to. Now I think the kicker is if the 107 licensed person, he's the person that's gonna get in trouble if anything happens. So if the unlicensed individual flies the drone, hits a building, goes through the window, and hits somebody in the head, I don't know. It's going to fall on the 107 pilot for allowing that to happen. So all the liability is going to fall back on the 107 pilot. And of course, if I'm wrong, please somebody correct me, put the right verbiage in the comments below, and we can all learn from that. Shadow Drone, thanks for your comment, buddy. Where do you find drone jobs and gigs? Should you just go to Zillow and start emailing real estate agents? You asked a few questions here, so I'll try to break this down. Where do you find drone jobs and gigs? Well, there's no right answer to that, but Google's one way. Another way is, get out of the house. You need to go to these real estate offices. Fly in here. Go to these real estate offices, and then tell them you want to do a few free stuff. I know that sounds hard to do, but you got to understand, I'm an agent. All of us agents, we get called all the time. People always try to sell us crap, and it gets annoying. It's kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses are always knocking on our doors or calling us, trying to sell us something, and we're tired of it. So when you go to an office or you approach a real estate agent and you try to sell them stuff like a salesman, they're gonna be turned off immediately and go, oh, okay, buddy, get out of here. I know 20 people with a drone. But if you show up to a real estate office, you have a nice collared shirt on, you're respectable, you're not wearing flip-flops, your beard's cut up or you don't have any beard, and you tell them, listen, here's my business card, and I'd like to do a few free jobs for some agents that are interested. I'm trying to just be honest. Don't try to tell them you're the best guy on the planet and you're licensed. Okay, so what? Agents are cheap. So if you tell them you want to do a couple free jobs just to make someone happy, I'm telling you, just that little bit of effort of taking pictures for somebody, whether it's 10 acres of land and you take some pictures and you go home, that investment alone is worth it for the future. So I don't see why the agent, if your work comes out nice, the agent doesn't keep using you over and over and over and over. So every time the agent gets a new listing, they call you immediately to go knock it out. And that's been the case for me. So a lot of my customers are just repeat, and those same repeat, if you have 10 people that repeatedly use you, there's a point where just those 10 people will keep you busy because one keeps getting a new listing every so often. And that could just be one real estate company. So even just one real estate company could pretty much pay your salary for a year. So hopefully that answers how to get some drone jobs and gigs. You got to do some free stuff. Should you just go to Zillow and start emailing real estate agents? No, don't bother them. Just show up to their office. If you just Google real estate office, your whole map should turn red with all the dots, or in Florida it does at least. Just walk in, be presentable. You're going to probably talk to the front desk lady. Just tell her you want to leave a few cards and you would love to do some free shoots. And you're going to get called as long as it's free. So, if you have nothing to lose, just sacrifice that, do a few free stuff, and then I think it'll pay off for you. How much on average can a drone photographer make in a month or a year? That's a tough question, obviously. There's so many things you can do with a drone. There's different jobs where you can make more money. If you're in Hollywood, you can probably make more money with an FPV drone than here in Florida. But that all depends. How much can a drone photographer make in a month or a year? When I first started, I started in the 333 days. So that answer back then was totally different than today. I'm pulling in about 50 grand just for basic, simple photography shoots. And like I said, my focus is not drone services on its face. My job and my whole point of my business is to offer a franchise-like solution to other drone pilots across the United States. So my goals are different than what some other people's goals are. So I invested my money in different areas within my business, such as trademarks. I have 2 trademarks for Drones Unlimited. That wasn't cheap. My licensing paperwork, that wasn't cheap. So really a lot of my money is going to lawyers all the time and disputes of people wanting Drones Unlimited and not able to get it. So how much can you make? You can make anywhere from $100 a month to $10,000 a month. Honestly, that's the truth. There's a fly in here, so you see me doing this. So that's the truth. It's totally on you. If you just want to sit on your couch and hope somebody calls you because you think you put enough ads out, it's not going to work for you. But if you have a portfolio, if you have a website, people can see all your work. You have a Facebook page, and let's say you're tagging local businesses that trust you and using you, then work will start coming in. People want to see who you are because they're going to send you to their client's house. They don't want some weird stranger going to their client's house that's never shot photography before. It's embarrassing to everybody. So you can make anywhere from $100 to $10,000 a month. That's totally up to you. I think a reasonable number is probably $3,000 to $6,000. $3,000 to $6,000 a month. That should be like typical norm. That's a normal wage for a real estate photographer that is shooting the insides of home also. So you're not just having a drone making that money. You have to have a camera to be able to shoot the insides of homes. And you got to understand that obviously you can make any amount of money a month. You can make 100 grand in a month if you want. Especially one thing I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to brag here. I guess it is bragging a little, but I'm shooting the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida. That's like a Disneyland for horses. They offered me a gig where they would like me to shoot their events. Now, if you ever get the opportunity to shoot an event for somebody or an event, for somebody or something or company, that's a lot of money that can come in. People literally walking up, picking their photos, and then they buy their photos in person. So if you're able to get hired, if you get off the ground and you get this reputation and people think you do really good photography, there are a chance where you just get that one gig that'll pay for a whole year. I'm very fortunate that it's happening to me where I get to shoot these events coming up and it's for horse shows. And that is no joke. That is like serious money. And I'm very fortunate for that, but it's taking me years to get to that point. And it's only because of my portfolio. Truthfully, I haven't even updated the website in a while, but my previous work that people have seen through Google has helped me land these big jobs, and I'm very lucky for it. And I don't expect everyone to just land big jobs overnight. You got to eat that suck-em-up pie. I learned that in the Navy. You just got to eat it. Sometimes you got to eat it just so you can go to the next level, the next stage. Let's see, what else did you ask? Finally, what are some unknown areas where people could hire us drone pilots? I know real estate is big, but where else? Construction? I started out in real estate, but then later on, what happened and what I noticed is that people, like let's say a construction company is building apartments. This is what's happened to me. They'll start building these apartments near a college, and then what happens is they need footage 100%. They're going to hire somebody. And when they go to look for somebody to hire, they're requesting bids. So the first thing they're going to do likely is go on Google and go, drone companies, right? Drone company near me, drone photography. And then on Google, that's probably where they're going to search first. And then they're going to have a list of, right, all the drone companies nearby. And then they're going to request a quote from each one of them. So if you want to get into construction, you need to understand that construction companies aren't necessarily loyal. Kind of like real estate agents are kind of like, they'll use the shitty photographer because they've used him for 10 years just to be loyal. But a construction company will hire, the next best, they'll just hire someone that makes sense for the project. As long as their work's decent, they know what they're talking about, and they have a legit business structure where you can invoice people properly, and then you're insured, etc. So construction will come, but I think what's important is you need a portfolio. You truly need to have presence in Google, and so people can search for your business so you can get those jobs. So I don't expect anybody to buy a drone today and then next month start shooting construction sites. I do think it requires a little bit of a portfolio and luck. Frankly, it's just luck. Hopefully someone calls you if you have a decent website. Let's see. What are some unknown areas where people could hire us drone pilots? Well, that's a tough question. That's like, I guess you want me to tell you some sort of secret where could a drone fly that would make money that's sort of unknown? I have an idea, and I've made a video very, very brief about it, but I think the future in drones is, or another service that's going to come out, in my opinion, is just going to be like billboards and advertising. So if you've been to a beach, you may have seen planes flying, and then behind the plane is a banner. Usually the banner says Geico. So you got a plane flying over the beach, over the water, over a sparsely populated area, planes flying low, and then a banner behind it for advertisement over crowds. I've always thought, and I'm trying to build this right now and make it work. I'm scared to fly it, to be honest. I have a hologram that spins really fast and projects a 3D image, and you can actually play videos on it. And to me, I think the future is going to be drones with holograms. So a service that people that don't talk about, that are not quite offering, you don't see much of it at all, no one really talks about this, are drones and advertising. So I think the amount of money that a drone could bring in with advertising is probably going to be more money than like what real estate would bring you and the stress involved in real estate. So if you can imagine, let's say, for example, spring break on Daytona Beach, Florida. Let's just say spring break on Daytona, there's thousands of people, shoulder to shoulder, all down the beach. And let's just say you have a big enough drone with a big enough hologram or projector that flies along the water, along the coast, parallel to the coast of people, so people can't hit the drone or throw things at it, people. And then you have a hologram that's projecting ads on it. That, to me, is money. I don't see why a drone with ads below it wouldn't bring a ton of attention and it wouldn't be effective for advertising. So that's a nice little loophole secret for you. I think drone advertising in the sky is going to be huge. It's just a matter of having the right lights, the right setup, maybe a hologram, and that's what I'm trying to build. So in the future, you're going to see that. I might crash it, I might not. I'm going to fly a huge drone with a hologram underneath it and see if this even makes sense. So hopefully that answers your question, Sean. Thanks for reaching out to me. Derek Supan. I'm sorry if I messed that up, buddy. Do you work with thermal cameras? Do you have the M600 and M210 in your fleet? The answer is no. I'll be straight up with you. I've done it a few times, and the truth is I've seen guys, I've met guys that have these M210s. They spent the 25 grand on a whole setup, but then realized the camera they bought is not a radiometric thermal camera. So then it's like, you spend the 20 to 30 grand, right? Depends on your budget, on a one drone with a camera, one system, so you can get the money back and make it in the future. I've always found it hard to justify. First of all, I'm cheap. Second of all, starting out dropping 20 to 30 grand on one drone and one setup, you got to understand, you got to make that money back to break even. So as soon as you spend 20 grand, you better hope you get 20 grand back just so you break even. And at that point, hopefully the drone's not stressed the hell out, or you haven't like stretched it thin. So I've always had a hard time justifying spending the money. And another thing, the industry is moving so fast. If you've noticed, there are new thermal drones out that are becoming cheaper and cheaper, and the competition is becoming fierce with it. And I love it. I love seeing that the Paro or Parrot Nafi thermal drone came out. You have the Skydio thermal drone that looks pretty cool. And then you have the DJI Enterprise. I think it's the Mavic Enterprise. So you have these small, affordable drones coming out. When I say affordable, we're talking like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. But the thermal camera itself is not radiometric, so it limits you in the scope of what you can do with thermal stuff. And then thermal's tough, but a kicker to that is if you can't afford the 20 grand up front for the Mac Daddy, and you can't really afford the $7,000 drone, well, the third option is you can rent drones. So there are companies that do allow you to rent drones with thermal cameras, and then you have to send it back. And that's the same thing with ground cameras. So if you need to rent a ground camera to get into real estate to see what it's all about, you can actually rent the equipment first and then send it back. So that's a third option not many people mention or talk about, is you can rent the equipment instead of spending $20,000. So I've always been I've had a toss up with that, whether I want to spend that much money on one drone just for services, or do I want to grow my business in a different direction rather than just buying drones. So what I'm trying to say is I foresee a drone that'll come out soon, hopefully soon, that'll probably be 10 grand. I'm making up this stuff. Hopefully a drone's going to come out that's about 10 grand. It has the radiometric camera. The resolution's high enough that the drone can perform what we need it to perform. And I don't see that not being the case in the future. The competition is so fierce that I think they're going to drive each other low. I mean, there's 3 thermal drones that I know of that are all within the ballpark of each other's price range, and they're all somewhat nice. So I love it. The Skydio, DJI, and the Parrot thermal drone. And then, of course, they're not radiometric cameras, so you need a better camera setup, more money to do bigger stuff. So thermal's always been interesting to me. It's been bizarre. But like I said, I'm growing my business a different direction. I've spent too much on lawyers. So that's all the questions we have for now. Thank you guys, Derek, Shadow Drone, and Downtown Dave. I do appreciate you guys commenting and watching my videos. If you have anything else, leave them below. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and thumbs up, thumbs down. You know me, maybe I don't give a shit. So have a good day.